Hey, what's up? Good morning. Joe Frago here from Twitter. I see Eddie, you're here from Twitter too. You'll have to bear with me. I just woke up, so I got my morning voice and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I just posted a few videos yesterday, seen some stuff this morning. So what's going on? I got 10 people in here. I think Tug shared the stream, so that's pretty crazy. But yeah, what's up? Good morning. Here to, just was going to go on a random little talk about some of the craziness around indie comics and stuff that we see and a recent post from this morning, which I'll share because I'm kind of a pro now because I've done this like 2 times. So I seen this post from Muttman. Hey, good morning, Firex. Yeah. See, I seen this post from Muttman this morning, and he says, "Is Comicsgate a family-friendly movement?" And I said yes. And if you don't know what Comicsgate is, if you're here from Tugs, you might know. But Comicsgate is like an indie. It's hard to describe in a small way, but it's a group of indie creators and fans that are just finding an alternative to the mainstream to produce, fun comic books. And, Muttman asks, is Comicsgate a family friendly movement? And I said yes, but in the thing or whatever, but I commented down below, I'd say somewhat, but I think the hatred and negativity from anti Comicsgate makes it rough. My daughter and my nephew love Cyberfrog, Littlest Umbrella, Wart the Wizard, etc. But even if they were older, I wouldn't want them on social media and openly Comicsgate, getting threats and stuff. And this is a factor in that thing too, because the answer to the Comicsgate thing is just like anything else. Like, is YouTube family friendly? Is television family friendly? And it is to a certain level of moderation. Comicsgate is no different. You're gonna have all sorts of different type of comic books. Like I mentioned, a few family friendly ones in there, but then we got some gory and bloody ones. Some's got some cleavage in there you might not want to have, and obviously you wouldn't want your 8-year-old watching the Jack show probably. So yeah, look at Baller Sideshow, the Flashcast, family friendly. Vasen, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Is that A with the dots? That's the language I'm not familiar with. But Vasen says family friendly, like the Jack Show, Baller Sideshow, Flashcast, it's blah blah blah, etc. But yeah, but it's up to like moderation. But for the most part, like you can find very family friendly groups and circles and content around Comicsgate. Like my nephew just loves Salamandroid and Cyberfrog. My daughter loves Cyberfrog and Salamandroid. She likes to draw. She's drawn a few. I wish I had a picture of on me. I didn't really plan this. I just woke up. But yeah, she draws Cyberfrog sometimes. It's kind of funny, but really it's the outside, the anti-Comicsgate that makes it less family friendly, which is like weird. But we deal with a lot of crazy. And if you're here from Tug's side of the things, you've seen just with the Vic Mignogna, the Amber Heard stuff, like if even if you're not familiar with Comicsgate, you've seen that he deals with some crazy stuff. But that's one thing I was going to show too, because recently, let's see, get this over here. There's something else recently from a old friend of ours. Sarcastic with the friend, but here we go. Yeah. So here we are, and this is just an example of some of the crazy, which is what prompted me to go live, like right after waking up. But I'd actually seen this already the other day, and I'm kind of desensitized to some of this type of stuff, and I believe Tug at this point probably is too. And he likes to monetize the crazy, but I know he also doesn't like to bring too much attention to some of this stuff because it gets really crazy. Now this guy here, Thomas Royal, he's like an especially crazy case, but pretty common for the anti-Comicsgate circles of people, and just the madness and insanity that some of these. Just a quick like example, because this that I'm showing right here is actually kind of tame for him, but a quick example of this guy's level of crazy. He's a grown man. I don't know his age, but I know he's a grown man who lives with his mother. He shares a bed with his brother, and it has recently been found out that he's quite very. There's a rumor, let's say, that he's having sexual relations with his brother, who he shares a bed with and lives with his mother. And he talked about on a live stream with Doug TenNapel about like wanting to kill his mother, but he hasn't killed her yet. These people are nuts. But this Thomas Royalub guy around that time was involved with Tug's doxing. They had shared, his pictures, his address, his purported address, which was his father, I believe's house. And at the time that they shared his address, they went on a live stream. And I actually live stream just by chance. I had clicked on it. And when I clicked on it, they were talking about Tug's address, him and his brother, I think it was, or it might have been another weirdo. And he had mentioned, he started going off on this weird fantasy story about, man, I hope that bandits arrive at Tug's house because Tug is such a coward that he would most likely hold up his daughter as a human shield and they would, okay, this is getting, warning, this gets really gross. He said he'd hold her up like a human shield and they would blow her head off with a shotgun and then fuck the throat hole. Those are words I never in my life. I would hope to never have to repeat those words or say those words. And I'm a small channel, so I don't think I'm at risk to repeat those words. But that was what he said. And I had sent, at that time, I sent Tug, like, yo, Tug, you got to check this out. I know you don't like to bring attention to this crazies, but, this live stream, he says this, and I'd send it to him. And I believe he mentioned it, but I don't think he went into detail. He didn't do like a big deal about it because you don't want to bring too much attention to some of this craziness, and it comes in waves. But yeah, that's an example of how crazy this guy is. But this example that I got on the screen is just what prompted this stream. So he talks about tracing a picture of that umbrella guy's wife. So he's talking about his wife, implying she's, I don't know, I guess because it's a large character, making fun of her weight. I wrote a note for this on Discord last week, and it made Tug have a hollering fit about it. And what he's depicting is a gun to little umbrella girl's head. I mean, there's more to it, but that's what this is, and really, and a child. And remember, this is about comic books. Tug makes comic books with his daughter, and this is like the type of stuff that Comicsgate and even Comicsgate fans deal with. Because I've had people come after me and my family and bring up my abilities as a father because I had like single father in my bio, and they talk about how I'm a piece of shit and the same type of stuff, that has come at Tug has come after me. But we're talking about comic books, and in no reasonable stretch should talking about comic books lead to an image that's supposed to show someone's 8-year-old daughter with a gun to the back of her head. That's basically what prompted me to go live today and to talk about. But like you could see here, and what he's implying with this image is something that this guy, Vicky, and a lot of these other anti-Comicsgate people have really like just latched onto this idea that he uses his daughter for attention, and it's just so ridiculous. And the reason why was because if you know Tug and Little Umbrella Girl, she used to come on and tell stories on his streams, and they discontinued doing that. And he said a few reasons why, and I hate to like speculate as to why, but when they were doing that, they had to deal with this type of stuff. And the stories were fun and adorable, and the fans loved it, and his daughter loved it, and it was just super fun. And it's sad that you have to deal with this type of stuff, but I just had a little lag there. But yeah, oh crap, the lag made me lose my train of thought. But yeah, they latched onto this idea that he was, using his daughter, and once again with the nastiness, this same exact guy and Vicky and them, they started referring to her in that multiple live streams. They have referred to his young daughter, the same age as mine, as a quote, a slut, a whore, a prostitute. How insane is this? And that's what this image is about. He's saying SJWs want to kill you, now be cute on YouTube, daddy needs monetizations. Like that's the sick implication that they're making. Then it says don't call CPS, which is also disgusting because these people have quite literally tried to utilize child protective services against Tug, which he's mentioned on stream before. It's just insane. Like we're talking about comic books, man. Look, stories were too sweet. My teeth ache. Yeah, see, cavity inducing, and you could tell she was really into it, and she loves doing it. Like, there's been times where she came on, like, "Can I tell a story?" And he had to be like, maybe next time. And it's like, and he's been a little more open with having Tug and his wife on the background, which is, or not, or Lug and his wife in the background of the stream sometimes, which is kind of nice. And but yeah, it's like you get to that point, like back to the is it family friendly, and it's like you got to factor in stuff like this, unfortunately, because we do deal with a lot of crazy. Oh, my voice is cracking so bad. Preston Poulter suing Thomas Royal up. Isn't the hero of the people, Preston? Yeah, it's I kind of lost track of that. Like, I guess I could stop sharing that for now. So yeah, the craziness of everything is like so hard to keep up with, and like it really does affect like your own mental health too. Trying to like, even for me as like a fan, like I don't know what I'm doing with this live stream and stuff. It's kind of just fun to go live, and I got 15 people here. That's crazy. Thanks for showing up. I literally just woke up. I still got my raspy morning voice, but yeah, we do. Oh crap! What's it? Oh yeah, Preston Poulter, keeping track of the nonsense. But yeah, there's just so much crazy, and you can't even keep up with all of it. And if you try, it kind of weighs on you. Like it takes a lot of time and energy to keep up with all the crazy. But I believe Preston was suing Vicky and uh, was it Dean? Which one of the brothers? I'm not sure about the Thomas thing, but and all these people like at one point in time they're all like work together, and then they're friendly, and then they're fighting, and then they're arguing, and then they're doxing Tug, and then they're trying to they thought they doxed me, and then they're doxing each other. And it's like Tug's just trying to live stream, have fun, make comic books with his daughter, read comic books, sell comic books, promote comic books. And same thing for me, when it comes to the comic skate. I just like goofing off. I like finding cool indie creators, promoting cool indie creators, and in that process, you just get so much craziness popping in as Tug tweeted you out. Yeah, that's so cool that he tweeted me out. Tug's a good guy. I've known him for a long time. He was like, when I was brand new to Twitter, which is only a few years ago, I haven't been on social media for long at all. I was so ignorant when I got on social media, but like I just kind of walked in like hey guys, what's going on? And like I just took a chair to the head and got trampled by weirdos. And actually Tug was one of my first followers and one of my first follows, because I kind of walked into this craziness, and that's how I found Tug. Was I just got was getting just I was kind of like instinctively, I didn't know anything about social media, but all these people were coming at me, and I was ready with the fisticuffs. I was like, "Come at me, bro! Like, screw you!" And I was arguing back and forth with these crazy people. And next thing I know, Tug was in there with me, arguing about comic books and anime. And me and him ended up back to back in a Twitter thread. It sounds dramatic, but if you've dealt with it, it gets pretty wild. But that's how I met Tug, and he kind of had my back, and he in that little engagement. And so I ended up checking him out and clicked on one of his streams, and he's like, "Hey there." And I just like listened to some of his stuff, and that's how I got introduced to some of the both some of the crazy and some of the positive things. Ended up finding a lot of good indie comics. I backed Kyung Lee's book, which Kyung Lee worked with Tug on Tug's first book. I backed Tug's book. But yeah, it's cool that he tweeted me. He's a good guy. Yeah, a lot to learn when it comes to social media. Frogville News, top class. And that was my old thing when I LARPed on my old account, the Doxville News. I was a reporter. But yeah, it was a learning curve with the social media thing. And like I said, I was so new. I was using my real name, my real picture, and that was the first time that I got kind of doxxed. But that was when Tug had my back then too. I don't even know if he knows that that was even me at that time. But then he ended up following me back when I, came back as Joe Frago. But at that time too, yeah, these crazy people, they found some guy in Texas with the same name as me, and so they're posting my supposed address and where I worked, and they're like we're coming to your house and everything. It wasn't even me. I hope it didn't cause that guy any trouble, but yeah, it's the type of stuff you deal with. I've been following since before the UK trial. I get frustrated when I don't see justice done. So okay, I don't know what I'm doing, guys. I forgot I can do this. Look, I'm a real streamer now. Certainly get frustrated when I don't see justice done. So this whole situation is my kryptonite. Yeah, and it does get pretty crazy, and it's good that we have people like Tug around. Like, there's this big shift with the. I'm already going on tangents. The stream was really random anyway, so people showed up, which is cool. I was initially only going to do like 10 minutes showing the tweet, but like, yeah, it's good that we got people like Tug around, and like we got alternatives in the mainstream media because we're getting a lot of eyes on things that you usually wouldn't. And same thing for me too. Like I said before, social media, I was kind of ignorant to some of this and ignorant to the crazy. Usually, I work and I fish, and sometimes I play video games and read manga. Don't really pay that much attention to the news, but like I had that mainstream mindset before. Like at one point in time, I would have been like, "Oh wow, Johnny Depp is crazy. Like can't believe he did all this horrible stuff." And I probably would have just went about my day. But thanks to people like Tug, Yellow Flash on it, like that Star Wars girl, and even other smaller streamers, like and sharing those things. People get out there and Tug posts something, and someone with a smaller account like me shares that, and someone else sees it, and he's talking about in more detail some things that you usually wouldn't see because there really is an agenda with a lot of reporting nowadays. And Tug will admit to having some bias, just like Nick Rekieta when it comes to the Johnny Depp thing, but he's just he's got his own sources and he's reporting facts. And sometimes those facts are things we would have never ever seen come to the light of day, even so much as just a few years ago. So yeah, I love Tug and I love what he does for a lot of people. Not just what he does for what Tug does for Johnny Depp, but no, even smaller creators, with live streams and comic books and bringing light to alternatives. It's great. Let's see. Saying how much of the world's come together over this, heartwarming to see so many people wanting truth. Yeah, and I don't want to go on too much of a tangent too, but like I've sort of mentioned it on social media too, but like I personally dealt with my own similar on a smaller scale of like I've had my own Amber Heard, let's put it that way. And that's one of the things that has made me so attached to the case because I'll see people on social media being like, "Oh, I'm so sick of hearing about it, and why do you care about these stupid celebrities and this and that?" It's not quite as simple as that for everyone. Like I remember at one point I was watching. It's gonna make me sound like a bitch, but I was watching the court trial, and it sort of I don't know why my headset just beeped. Sorry. But yeah, I was watching the court trial. This was like a few weeks ago, and I think I had tweeted about it, but like it was so similar. The words that were used. I was watching Amber Heard on the stand, and the words she was using, and her mannerisms and her expressions, and like the blatant lies and like sort of snowballing of lies. It was so similar to my situation, and it got so bad. I actually had a panic attack, like an actual like I couldn't catch my breath for a second, like elevated heart rate, and I had to turn off the stream. I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Like I had to kind of chill for a second because it just brought me back to when I was sitting in the court and just completely unexpectedly just hearing that same thing that was just so absurd and the lies and like yeah, it was like oh my god, so I had to calm down. Yeah, so but and men deal with this and you're not allowed to talk. Like even right there, like there's no reason why I should have to put any like say that oh I'm gonna feel like a bitch. But there it is. It's the programming. Men aren't allowed to talk about false accusations. Men aren't allowed to talk about being abused. Men aren't allowed to talk about having those sorry feelings and emotions. My voice is usually pretty deep anyway, but when I wake up, it's really out there. SheRRa Firex, so sorry you experienced that. Yeah, and I got through it, and I came out on top. I was one of the very few lucky ones to where I don't know how this trial is going to turn out in the long run. I'm fully on Johnny Depp's side, and I really hope justice and the truth prevails. But there's a good chance he could lose the court case. But he's won in the public opinion. Like nobody believes this bullshit. But in my case, luckily, like in my case, she had the exact same mental disorders, the exact same everything. And when it comes to these sort of like I'm not a mental health professional. I'm just speaking from first and foremost, but it's so similar. And I've spoken with my ex about it actually afterwards, and even when she admitted to the judge, and she admitted that she had this I don't remember the exact names of the disorders, but she couldn't control it. She couldn't control the lies. She couldn't stop for the lies. She made the lies up for attention. She stole other people's abuse stories because she saw that they were getting attention and she was addicted to the attention. And she said she couldn't stop lying. She was incapable of it until, luckily for me, it got so out of control that the judge and the lawyers and the what was it like the investigators with the family services, they started looking at her sideways. And before it got to that point, like they just treated me like an absolute monster, like just as Depp's been dealing with for 6 years. In my case, it was like only like a year that it lasted, but it was a terrible year, man. And like on such a smaller scale, to listen to my side of things, they didn't care about my evidence. Like anything that I said or did came off as combative to them. But she couldn't stop lying until they looked at her sideways. Then they took me aside one day, the family services, and they said, "Hey, remember that one time that you said you had some proof of her being untruthful?" They awkwardly like, "Do you think we could see that?" And I was like, "Yes!" I had printed out a whole folder. Oh my God, I was so ready, and I gave it to them, and they caught her all up in it. And on the stand, she broke down and cried and admitted to lying. Oh my God! Like I was talking about the anxiety attack earlier, I'm having opposite right now, just thinking about it. But yeah, yeah, like that's how I said I wasn't gonna go off on a tangent, but I did. That's how my situation ended, and it happens probably more often than a lot of us want to admit, or care to admit, or know, or maybe some men never even knew that it's out there, but it happens. It's not right. Oh wait, this is a good to continue my tangent. This is good. It's not right what happened to innocent until proven guilty. What were her consequences? In family court, it's guilty until proven innocent. It's just the way that it is. It's a broken system. Tug talks about it. Nick Rekieta talks about it. It's just the nature of the beast, and people want to fix it and make changes. But anybody that talks about this, like men's rights, they're just immediately shot down as being white supremacists, as being Nazis, as hating women. And it's not about any of that. What should matter is the child and what's best for the child, regardless of politics, regardless of gender, regardless of race, regardless of anything. The only thing that should matter is what's in the best interest of the child, and it just isn't that way. And hopefully, we can um, make steps to get it that way at some point in time. But there's a lot of hurdles we're going to have to jump through. But then we're going to go back to what were her consequences. And this is similar to the Johnny Depp situation, and I believe Tug and Rekieta both talked about it. There were no consequences. I lost everything. I sold both my vehicles. I moved out of my horse. My moved out of my horse. Sorry. Okay. I moved out of my house. Okay, more serious. I moved out of my house. I lost everything. I moved into a small apartment. I sold both of my vehicles. I had to sell all my kayaks. I sold all my guns. I sold all my video games. I sold all my fishing equipment. I ended up every single penny I had to throw at the lawyers to keep going. And at one point in time, I ran out of money and I had my last gun, and I had a very good lawyer, a good guy. He really helped me, and I was just like basically like, dude, Dan, I'm out of everything. All I've got left is this Beretta M9 2FS. Do you think you can just keep, you know, helping me out for a little bit longer if I gave you this gun? And he's like, even though he's a Marine and he hates the Beretta, he was just like, yeah, sure, why not? Like, then he helped me out. But yeah, I lost everything. And then then I was at that point where my last valuable possession was given to my lawyer, and he's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll keep going." And it was at that point, and I'd almost given up when she finally broke down and admitted to lying. And it basically just happened like this. The judge said to her, like, everything that you've done in this situation could have led to serious consequences and harm to this man. Do you not understand this? And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And then he's like, "No more lies. Joe gets 50-50 custody. We're working that out, and we're going to consolidate this with the other family court." I don't remember exactly. He said it was just such a crazy moment, but basically they just said to her, stop lying. shared custody. And that was a big break too, because fathers getting shared custody rights. It's like, oh my God, it's such a difficult path, and mine came about in such a horrible way, but that saved me the trouble with that thing. But yeah, like, and the reason why there were no consequences is because there are protections in place. And like I said, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a specialist or a professional, but I know, to the best of my understanding, there are protections in place for the women to come out and make any accusations they can without consequences. The justification supposedly being that they don't want actual victims to be afraid to speak out, because if they end up losing, that they could get in trouble. The unfortunate unintended consequences of that is that people like Amber Heard, like in my case, they're allowed to come out and just make up the craziest, life destroying, whatever accusations. And there really isn't any consequences besides, I guess, in the Amber Heard's case, like, she's like, oh, I'm going to lose a lot. But yeah, there's not much legally that can happen at that point unless you pursue perjury charges later. But I guess that's a big, so there was no consequences, basically. I ramble a lot. Took a lot to say that. So we're saying, let's see what else you got going on. You had evidence file that proved your innocence. Yeah, and it was a lot of things that I had gathered. I had texts and emails, and I had, because people in her circles were coming to me too, like ex friends and friends, and they were offering me like different things that proved that she was lying. And I had proof she was even lying about having a job. She was lying about where she was living. In the court, she had made these lies. I had proof of all that, but they didn't care. Nobody cared. And but yeah, I had her friends come out, and one of here's another thing, like I said, with the Amber Heard stuff that was so crazy, was when I can't remember the name of the which person it was. One of you might remember, but somebody came out and accused Amber Heard of stealing her story of abuse, and then Amber Heard used that for her own. One in my case, one of her coworkers reached out to me who I didn't even know, and she basically said like, I just have to get this out there and let you know, because I think something bad's going on. One of her ex coworkers contacted me and told me that one of the claims that my ex was making was something that she had told her, of her being assaulted and abused, and that she had confided in her as a friend. And then, just like with Amber Heard, my situation, she had came out, co-opted that story, changed the narrative, and accused me of doing that to her. And she admitted later on that she did that because she wanted the attention and the pity. And yeah, that's a whole lot of crazy, man. Oh, Piggy, you're back again. Thanks, dude. Got a repeat viewer. I'm a pro streamer now. Oh yeah, I'll show that because I'm a pro streamer. Let's see, we got, and it is indeed the sickening part, the lack of consequences of things like this happening to the false accuser. Yeah, and I understand that. I try to be reasonable, um like, viewpoint of that. Like, I kind of understand where they go with like not wanting women to be afraid to speak out, but like I said, it's an unfortunate consequences where it can be weaponized, and it gives people the opportunity to basically just weaponize that and use it for very nefarious deeds. But uh yeah, I guess. Wow, there's still 12 people here. It's so cool. Streaming is fun. I don't know what I'm doing. I just figured out how to do this kind of like yesterday. It's technically my third time. I actually wonder if there should be panels of therapists and body language professionals in trials like this as standard from different perspectives to minimize bias. Yeah, and I think the problem there goes, like, certain things within the law too. Like I said, I'm not a professional, but when it comes to like body language professionals and stuff like that, like, I think that's more of like, I wonder if you could even bring one in as a professional witness. But at the same time, it comes to one of those things that's, it's not always a completely, I don't know about body language, but for example, lie detector tests, like, they aren't allowed to be used as evidence. But in my case, I did one willingly, and it's not technically official evidence, but it did help speed things along in the process, let's say, because mine worked out favorably because I wasn't lying. And but like it couldn't be used against me either though because of the law and it not being a completely perfect repeatable science. It's more often usually just used as like in my case, like it came out favorably. So then the judge was just like blah blah blah. Looking at this, I can say that we're going to move further forward in the process of the shared custody agreement. And yeah, and I think it's probably some similar things like that with the professionals. And there are people, but that's the thing too. I'll go back to having alternative media. We got those types of professionals, those lawyers, those body language professionals. We got the what's his name, the law guy that worked law and lumber, I think. And there's like the woodworking attorney that debunked Amber's bed thing. Like it may not be in the court, but in the court of public opinion, it's being out there. These people are sharing it, and oh, sorry to hiccup. But yeah, it's in Depp's case especially. It's it's working. It's helping a lot with the public opinion, and I think that was his main focus to begin with. She almost destroyed your life. It's terrifying with no consequences. And yeah, and very much so. Like I talked earlier about having the panic attack watching it, but like, and I kind of joked about it, but it really was like I was like broken as a human being and broken by our own legal system and family court system. And just like, I just felt completely just, there was nothing I could do at that point. Like it didn't matter. And I was still kept going, but I know in that moment, like when it finally broke down, it was just kind of like I was like a zombie. I was just making the motions, showing up, and I basically kind of just like was waiting for waiting for the guillotine. And when it ended up that massive shift to my favor, it was just like I just walked out and I didn't know what to do, you know. But yeah, the no consequences really, but what can you do? Mine worked out, but for that's the scary thing though. Like there's a lot of men out there where it doesn't work in their favor, where they don't get that lucky break. And unfortunately, it costs people, not even just figuratively, it costs people their life. And that's one of the reasons why it should be looked at and addressed a little bit closer. If you enjoy streaming, never done the just talking kind. Yeah, it's just fun. And I've gone live with my daughter before too, playing video games on this channel. And usually I've had like usually it's like the same two friends of mine that show up, and that's mainly just for fun. Like just like with Tug streaming with his daughter, going back to some of the craziness. But like even then, like she really likes to do it, but it scares me because I know the type of things I deal with, and I've dealt with in those circles. And sometimes when I've shared, hey, I'm going live with my daughter, and I'm there ready with the computer to just block or mute anything because usually she doesn't see the chat. She's just playing on the other screen and she talks, but she just loves. She gets a kick out of it, like Tug's daughter. Like she feels like a streamer. She has so much fun. She's talking up what's going on, and then Fade or Wise Guys, two of my friends, come in the chat and she'll go, "Hi, Fade. We're doing this in this game right now, and I got this new item," and she just loves doing it. But as far as this talking thing, like I did it once a few years ago, and randomly I did it yesterday, and I was like, that was kind of fun. And then this morning I seen that tweet, and I was like, man, I'm gonna do that again. And now like I got 9 people still here, which is cool, man. Thanks for showing up. All right, have a good one, Piggy. And I'll probably be ending soon too, because like I said, this was originally only supposed to be a 10-minute little thing about that situation that Tug was dealing with, but I kind of went a little bit longer. I stuttered again. Oh, that too with the Johnny Depp thing. Another, like I've got a mild stutter. I've got it really well under control. But if you hear me talking and you'll hear me pause, it's not me thinking. A lot of times it's me changing my train of thought because I've had therapy as a kid to help with it a little bit. And I've evolved and adapted. I'm a professional speaker now. No, but sometimes I'll get stuck on a certain letter and instinctively I'll switch it, so I might be trying to say like, where's the puppy, so I'll be, where's the dog? Or I'll pause, like, where's the dog? Because I can feel it. You know what I'm talking about? But that's another thing with the Depp trial too. Like with Depp has a way worse than me, but he's got like that stutter too, and that was another similarity to my situation. And people were talking about him faking it or doing it for, like, I guess just for pity on the stand, but or like, or it being too much, the like how he does it. But you don't have a control. Like, I have a little bit of ways to get around it, and I've trained myself. Like, I'm a lot better than when I was a child. It was worse. But with Deb too, you can look back at his interviews. I remember recently, I wish I could find that. I wonder if I could find that real quick without boring you guys to death. I'm not sharing screen. Okay. Recently, there was a video of Depp and a bat. Johnny Depp bat. Let's see if it pops up. I don't know. If I find it right away, that would be cool. Oh, I found it. Cool. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's do this. Okay. You might, if you didn't see this, this will be kind of cool, and it'll help me practice my streaming because I can share the screen. Okay. Share. Look how I got like a giddy about learning how to share a screen. Okay. Let's see. Gotta make noises while you do stuff. Bam, we're sharing. Okay, let's see. So this is what I'm talking about. Like, if you look at his old stuff too, like not in court or anything, it's really grainy and blurry. I think it takes a few seconds too for the share screen to get less blurry. So I'll wait a second. But yeah, even in old interviews or him talking, like you can hear it and see it. And this was kind of a cute thing I'd seen recently. So if you haven't seen it, this will be kind of fun. But this is him on the set of Pirates apparently, and they found like an abandoned baby bat, and he was taking care of it. And one of the sad things with the case too is like you can see his finger. It's hard to see because it's blurry, but he actually has it like bandaged with a special bandage so they could use special effects. This was after Heard cut his finger off, but yeah, you can hear his mannerisms too here.
To fall in love with them.
I just got sent a friend of ours in Florida. One of her friends has actually just bought a couple of little. She's teething.
I actually work in. Oh, is she?
Yeah, she's teething. That's why she's playing with her teeth.
That's why she wants that dummy so much, right?
She's 10 weeks old.
And 7 weeks preemie.
And 7 weeks preemie. Yeah. So she's
Good morning, Miss Rita.
Oh man, it's amazing.
Good morning.
All right, so there's that. Stop screen. See, I just thought that was adorable. The little sky fox. But yeah, you can hear he's got the stutter again. The same one you heard on the stand that people are trying to whatever things they can use to attack him. But he still had it then. He still has it now. And even then, in a comfortable situation where and it's funny, you can see him swaying side to side. He's kind of like, it's like a maternal instinct. He probably doesn't even, just with the stutter having no control over it, he probably didn't even realize he was swaying like that. Just it comes to his like, but people say he's like kind and caring and nurturing. It shows, and just even with the body language there. And a bat. Yeah, I just seen someone had shared that on Twitter. I recently saw that. I'm glad I found it. Like yesterday when I was streaming, I was trying to look for something, and it was one of those ones where I just couldn't find it. But that one came up right away. So yeah, I thought I'd share that. Oh, it's Kate James' story. Thanks, Eddie. I see that. That's the one that. Yeah, that's the one. Like I was talking about. Like so similar to my case was she had my instance had stolen a story as well. Depp in bed. Are you sure it's family friendly? Oh yeah, the comic skate thing. Yeah, even my like like I'm a degenerate weirdo too. So and I'm part of the problem with comic skate not being family friendly. Probably. I try to be pretty. I'm kind of back and forth, but I got my moments when I get a little degenerate as well. That level of kind of caring he expresses is a natural instinct. Yep, like I said, just as much control over his body there as he probably had over his stutter. It was just built into it. God dang. That's the other thing too is when you okay, I gotta calm. Like with Tourette's, I don't have Tourette's or anything. I don't know. I'm just crazy in general. But I've heard people with Tourette's say too, like when they try not to have tics or verbal tics is when it gets the worst. And I've noticed personally, like I don't know the science behind it, but like if I talk about struggling with a stutter, it slips out. Like I've had like my coworker, I was talking to him and we were just talking, and then he said something about my stutter and what was I said oh, he said something about my stutter, and I said like I don't even stutter, like, but I stuttered when I was trying to say that I don't stutter, and that kind of comes to that, like when you it gets a little bit worse when you're thinking about it, and there's different things that affect it too, like speaking off memory or reading is easier than formulating the sentence or thought. Same thing with Tourette's. I've heard so that yeah, it all has different effects. Like even people with bad stutters can sing a whole song through. Like I've seen singers that stutter, and then people will say, "Oh, they're faking their stutter because they just sang that whole song," but it actually is a different part of the brain. It goes off of like they're like I'm not a scientist. I'm not a biologist. I don't know what a lady is, but yeah, I know it uses a different part of the brain if you go off of memory compared to like formulating for them. Let's see, we got another one here. The really odd thing about the trial is the amount of people, men and women, coming out in Depp support. Usually everyone stays back to avoid getting smeared. Yeah, and I think that's something we're seeing with the alternative media too. Like people like Tug talking about it is it's a good shift in culture to where, and it's unfortunate that it has to be that way. Like if you know, like people that knew or maybe even only sort of knew that Depp was innocent, or people that knew to the best of their knowledge that she was full of shit, like he couldn't, like his close friends and stuff. It's unfortunate that they couldn't come out and even question it because like with like Greg Ellis, for example, like if he had came out, I don't know how he's been a vocal supporter for a long time, but I don't know when he started being vocally supportive, but like just him as an example, I don't know, maybe it's not a good example because he's always been a supportive for my, as far as I know. But other people, like if they had came out and been like, well, I've worked with Depp and I don't think he was like that at all, like they quite literally probably would have lost their jobs, been kicked off of social media, and God knows what other sort of crazy they would have had to have dealt with. But with this certain case, it's gotten to the point where the momentum has shifted to the point where people are more open to talk about it, which is good. But hopefully, we can get to the point in society where you shouldn't be forced to fear repercussions. You know what I mean? Like, especially if it's like something where it's like people are finally getting a chance to look at the facts of this case where they couldn't before. For 6 years this Depp has suffered because of this, and it took 6 years to get to the point of suffering to get to the point where people can comfortably talk about it, which is pretty crazy to me. But yeah, oh my god, there's still 8 people here. That's freaking cool. But yeah, I want to say thanks for everyone that showed up. I'm probably gonna stop soon. My daughter's in the other room. She's probably getting bored or something. I got to check on her. But yeah, thanks for everyone that showed up for my random 10-minute stream that went on for 45 minutes. Yeah, and we just got to keep doing what we can. Even like for me, I'm just a random dude. Just went live on YouTube. Like from people like me to you, maybe on Twitter, Reaver, or up all the way up to the bigger people like Tug or Ricada. Like we just couldn't do what we can as far as like talk, trying to bring light to some of this stuff and trying to make it more comfortable for people to share their opinions. And the cancel culture thing too. I just said I was going to end. I'm going to go into the cancel culture thing too. Just it's evolved so much over the last, because I've only been on social media since 2018. Like I've I've just always been a fisherman. Like I said, I'm nerdy to an extent, but I usually just work, play video games, fish, and I never really messed around with social media much. But even so much as from what I saw in 2018, 2019, up till today, just a few years after, like it has had a significant shift. Like one of the examples I use is It's a Gundam when Pokimane came after him, trying to cancel him. Pokimane is a massive, powerful force on social media and the internet, and she has, I mean, you may like her, you may hate her, I don't know, but she has nefariously used that to hurt people in the past using cancel culture stuff that she disliked. And she came after It's a Gundam, which he's a bigger name too, but much, much significantly smaller than her. When she tried to cancel him, and the internet, this might have been a year, maybe 2 years ago, but that was the first big shift I've seen in the cancel culture was when she came after him. The internet wasn't having it, man. Like her, like he got a lot of heat and flack and got a little bit dogpiled, but like a lot of people came to his defense, including like the quartering. I can't remember if Geeks and Gamers did, but like a lot of people covered that. And she was doing those things like, oh, it's a Gundam. It'd be a shame if something happened to your sponsors. She did one of those things on a live stream, and that was her cue for her people to go and like flag them. And people openly were just like, by and large, were like, nah, like that's not right. That's not okay. And she ended up apologizing, and they ended up making up in the long run. I think they're arguing again. The Pokimane, It's a Gundam love romance, unfortunately, may not come to be. But yeah, that was a big shift, and all scales of people just talking about it and doing what we can in our little circles. Oh yeah, yeah. I really am going to get off soon though. I went on another tangent. I hope you have a great day too. Like I'm really thirsty. Like I said, I just woke up before I went live. I got to get a drink too. My voice is usually pretty gravelly anyway, but especially when I wake up. We all get it, made it go viral as a collective. Yeah, and hopefully we'll see more cases too. Like there's people that are for and against having cases in these trials, but I hate to get too conspiratorial or anything, but like just like with the, was it Ghislaine Maxwell stuff? Like, yeah, that was kept from the public view and just kind of swept under the rug. And I don't really, it feels gross. Like, I would have much rather have had more of that public because tinfoil hat, there was a lot that went into covering up a lot of really, really nasty stuff. Another hour, let's go. Yeah, no, don't get me going. But yeah, I'll let you guys go. There's still 6 of you here. Thank you so much for showing up. And yeah, I guess if you liked my ramble, give me a like and a subscribe. And I don't know how much more videos I do. I might go live with my daughter playing Borderlands sometimes. You never know. It was just fun doing it yesterday, so I thought I'd go live again today. And I ran it a lot. So yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there. Like and subscribe. Support free speech. Screw cancel culture. Amber Heard sucks. So yeah, also, you guys that came from Tug's side, thanks for supporting Tug. I've been, following him for a long time. He's a good guy. So keep doing what you're doing. Vasen, don't eat frogs or seals, please. That's from Twitter. But yeah, you catch me around. Awesome, cool. Maybe I'll see you again next time. Maybe I'll have a guest on. I haven't really practiced having a guest, so that might be my next step to learning how to do this stuff. But yeah, so yeah, see you around and hope you guys have a good day. Don't let the Twitter crazy get you down. And yeah, keep on keeping on. Thanks, Eddie. Okay, I'm really going to go. Okay, bye.